You're able to see the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You remember in the last class, we discussed some of the basics of computer networks. As I told you, first 3 to 4 classes will just take the overview and understand the basic terms required to go through our syllabus. So in that connection, we discussed what is open system, what is closed system, right? What is a computer network? These concepts we discussed. We identified some of the devices and topology. So what are the devices that we use to create network and connect networks? Can you list out the devices which we use to create and connect a network?
Sir, hub.
So router.
Ah, router. Before that, basically
Hub,
hub, correct.
bridge,
Hub, switch, bridge, router, these things. What is the difference between hub and switch? Difference between the hub and switch. We say hub is an unintelligent device. Basically, for what purpose?
sir, hub acts like a central device.
Hub,
Acts like a central device.
correct. Why it is called unintelligent device? Whereas switch is called intelligent device. Why it is called so? When whatever the packet comes to the hub, it simply broadcasts to all the connected devices. It won't check to whom it is intended to. Whereas switch checks its table and it sends to the destination to ask for the destination address. Switch will work as an intelligent connecting device, but hub, it won't work like that. Okay. When we will use the bridge? For what purpose we will use the bridge device?
To connect.
To connect two subnets, to connect two similar, say LAN 1 and LAN 2 are connected by the bridge. Router, for what purpose we will use the router? Connect one network to the another network. So network A will be connected to network B through the router. Router acts as a gateway. Router acts as a gateway. Okay, these are the some of the basics. Coming to the network topology. How many network topologies basically we identify? Point to point, star, mesh, daisy chain, ring and tree, followed by hybrid topology. There are 7 different basic network topology we identified. 7 layers in OSI reference model. 7 network topology basically we identify. So you should be able to write these topologies. Topology basically is an arrangement of different devices in a network. Bus, mesh, okay, like this. OSI. What is the expansion of OSI?
Open
Expansion
system
of
interconnection.
open systems interconnection. It's a protocol or reference model?
Reference model.
Reference model. What is the difference between protocol and reference model?
The protocol are the rules and reference model defines the standards.
Protocol works basically as defined in OSI reference model. OSI reference model gives the standards, specifications, functions of each layer. As per that reference model, protocols are defined. Protocols are defined. As you said, set of rules or algorithms which defines how two entities communicate across the network. Either for the protocol or for the devices, we refer to ISO OSI. What is ISO? International Standard Organization. Okay, this is the organization which defined the OSI. Every network is associated with name and address in the network. Is it correct? You need address?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We want address to identify each unique
Identify
device.
and to make the communication, right? So we need address. Unique identifiers of the network. Unique identifiers of the network. We give host name, right? You can know your host or the device which you are using. For example, I am using this desktop, for example. I can go to the administrator mode and type host name in the command prompt. It will display the name. Okay, it will display the name, so you can check that. Name is required as well as address is required. When you talk about the address, we have different types of addresses. Address basically we divide into logical address and physical address. Which is a logical address? Which is a logical address?
The IP address.
IP address. IP address is also called as Internet Protocol
Logic
address.
interim address.
Internet Protocol address. Every device on the World Wide Web is assigned a unique identifier of 32 bits. That the unique identifier that is assigned to each device on the internet is of 32 bits in case of IPv4. IPv4 stands for Internet Protocol version 4. It is a network layer protocol. With the 32 bits, how many IP address we can have?
One iPad.
2 to the power of 32, right?
Yes,
2 to
sir.
the power of 32 different addresses we can have. IPv4 address, what is the length of the IPv4 address? 32 bits. Whereas length of an IPv6 address is
64.
128 bits.
Oh, what?
With 128 bits, what is the address space available? 2 to the power of
128.
128. Okay. With IPv6, we get the large now address space. Large address space means you can assign huge. You can assign to the huge number of devices this IP address. But IPv4 is limited to 32 bits. So in case of IPv4, number of IP addresses that you can assign is 2 to the power of 32. In case of IPv6, 128. ipconfig, if we type in the command prompt, ipconfig in the command prompt and press enter, we will get the IP address of the device. Okay. So host name, if you type in the command prompt, you'll get host name, and similarly ipconfig, if you type and press the enter, you'll get the IP address of the device that you are currently using and connected to the network. Similarly, we have one more address called MAC address. MAC address is also known as physical address, right? MAC address is also known as physical address. MAC address is again unique identifier of each host and is associated with its network interface card. Okay, so a MAC address is assigned to the network interface card at the time of manufacturing. Okay, the length of the MAC address is how many bytes? IP address length is 32 bits or 4 bytes, whereas the length of MAC address is
6 bytes.
6 bytes
So 40.
or 48 bits. To get the MAC address for your device, you have to go to the command prompt, ipconfig. No. Yeah, I am in class, man. You can talk to other wardens or supervisor. Okay, ipconfig/all in the command prompt and press enter. This gives us the MAC address. Okay, so friends, remember the 3 basic important types of address. One is IP address, which is also called as logical address. IPv4 is 32 bits. IPv6 is 128 bits. IAAN, okay, IANA, that is Internet Assigned Numbers and Authority assigns the IPv4. Please remember IANA, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, IANA. Okay, and the MAC address is of 6 bytes or 48 bits or 12 nibble. So some of these bytes terminology you should be familiar with. 12 nibble. 1 byte means 2 nibble. Okay, these are some of the basics. The third important address is port. A port is a logical channel through which data can be sent and received to an application. If you want to talk to a device connected to a network, you'll use MAC address. Okay, so now if you want to talk to an application, logical channel through which data can be sent and received to an application. Any host may have multiple applications running, and each of these applications is identified using the port number on which they are running. A port number is a 16-bit integer. Hence, we have 2 to the power of 16 ports available, which are categorized as shown below. 2 to the power of 16. 2 to the power of 16 means how many port numbers we'll get? Hello? Hello? You're there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How many ports will get?
65,000.
1600. 2 to the power of 16 means how much?
65,535.
65,536 of the order of 65K. So how many port numbers you will get? You will get port numbers equal to 65,536 and range of port number is 0 to
1023.
65,535.
Okay, sir.
How many ports are being currently used by your device? How many ports are currently being used by your device? If you want to know, means you have to go to the command prompt and type netstat-a. Okay, so it will give you the list, all the ports being used. That, so active connections, this is how you can get. Next, one more terminology is socket. Have you heard of socket? What is a socket? You know electrical sockets?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
For what point, for what purpose we'll use the socket? We call socket as an end point of communication. Okay, what is a socket? It's an end point of communication. It's a combination of IP address and port number. So when you say socket, it's combination of IP address and why we need this combination? IP address to identify a device, whereas the port number is required to identify number is required to identify what?
Number of ports.
Application. Okay, which application you want to connect to? HTTPS port number. What is the port number of HTTPS? HTTP protocol you will use, right?
So 80.
80, correct, very good. Port number 80. So if you want to connect to a particular application, you need to know the port number, right? The combination of IP address and port number will give you what?
Socket.
Socket. Okay. Some other related concepts. Have you heard about DNS?
The
DNS.
domain names.
Very
Domain
good.
names.
Domain name system. Right?
So nothing with the
Domain name
URL,
system.
sir. What we
purpose
what
you
we
use
give.
domain name system? So what is the job of domain name server? Domain name system server translates the web addresses. What are web addresses? URLs. Google.com, for example, Yahoo.com. So like this, you are having URLs into their corresponding IP addresses. Remembering IP address of a particular web page or web is difficult, for example, right? So instead of the IP address, you'll be having the URL. Remembering www.google.com is easy compared to its IP address. So to provide a good user-friendly environment for the end user, so names are given. Those names are called domain names. But when we enter the domain names, internally it requires the IP address. Therefore, domain name server, what it will do is, it will translate. It will translate the web address into corresponding IP address. We need not remember all the IP addresses of each and every website. So then what we'll do? We'll use the command nslookup, which this command gives you the IP address of the domain you are looking for. This also provides the information of the DNS server. Suppose now if I type nslookup www.google.com, then which is the server, what is its IP address? Okay, all those information it gives. So in the command prompt, if you type nslookup www.google.com, you'll get these informations. ARP. What is the expansion of ARP?
Address Resolution Protocol.
Exactly, Address Resolution Protocol. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. It is used for what purpose? To convert IP address to its corresponding physical address, MAC address. IP to MAC, internet address to network address, logical address to physical address, internet address to network address, logical address to physical address, IP address to MAC address. Okay, so the different way of explaining, but referring to the same context. Address resolution protocol gives the MAC address for the given IP address. Which layer uses address resolution protocol? Which layer uses the address resolution protocol?
Reverse resolution. Reverse address resolution.
Data link layer. Okay, data link layer. Data link layer is the second layer in the OSI reference model. True or false? Data link layer is the
second layer.
Second layer in the OSI reference model. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Respond, man. Only 1 or 2 is responding out of 12. Other 10, what you are doing? See, if you speak out, you will remember. It records in our brain. That's why we should speak. You will not, otherwise you will not be having attention here. What is the use? Okay. So ARP is used by the data link layer, which is the second layer in the OSI reference model, which takes the IP address from the network layer. Network layer is above the data link layer. Physical data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, right? Presentation layer, application layer. OSI 7 layers. How to remember them? Please do not trust salesperson advice. Please do not trust salesperson advice. That's how I remember. You can also use the same trick. or some other trick if you want. ARP, IP address to MAC address. Given MAC address, okay, given MAC address, I want to get the IP address. Then which protocol you will use? Given a MAC address, I want IP address. Then which protocol you will use?
Reverse address resolution protocol.
Reverse address resolution protocol. Okay. So IP address to MAC address resolution protocol. MAC to IP address, reverse address resolution protocol. Okay. Now, what is an internet? How do you define the internet? Now we know OSI. We know certain protocols. Can you name certain protocols? We listed many protocols, right? TCP, UDP,
UDP,
STCP,
FTP, FTP,
exactly,
SMTP.
FTP. Many protocols are there. These are the standard protocols. Okay? Standard protocols. Who gives this standardization to the protocol? Who brings the standards? Can you name any standard protocols? Standard specifications? IEEE 802.11, IEEE 802, right? Okay. Now we know some protocols, standards. Internet is a global network which comprises of different smaller networks which are interconnected. These small networks are interconnected using standardized communication protocols. And the internet standard describes framework known as the internet protocol suite. And this model of internet, that is TCP IP suite, is divided into layers, different layers. In OSI also we have layered system, right? Different layers. And we know there exists application layer, transport layer, and network layer. Three main layers. Application layer, concerned with the data, URL, HTTP, HTTPS you will use. Transport layer, which is responsible for end-to-end communication over a network. Network layer, which provides the data route. World Wide Web. The documents are formatted in a markup language called HTML. In World Wide Web, you have different pages, right? And you will access these pages, and you will be having the documents are formatted in a markup language called HTML. It supports number of features including links and multimedia. These documents are linked using hypertext links, right?
Yes, sir.
Protocol you will use here, transfer
TCP
of
protocol.
pages.
HTTP protocol.
HTTP protocol, very good. How do you address or identify the resource? You will use uniform resource locator. URL,
Yeah.
and you use web browsers. Okay. What is the difference between web and internet? Web is a way to accessing information through the internet. Web is a way to access, and it is a model for sharing information using internet. So web uses internet. Web uses internet to access the information. Whereas internet is the network of networks, and the network allows to exchange the data. Network allows data exchange between two or more computers or devices. Okay. So at the basic stage, please remember that internet is a network of networks and web is a way to access the information through the net. Web uses the internet for accessing the information, and is a web is a model for data sharing or information sharing. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. URI stands for Uniform Resource Identifier. A URI can be a name, locator, or both for online resources, whereas URL is just the locator. Okay.
Okay,
What is
sir.
an URL? Uniform Resource Locator. It consists of a protocol, domain name, and path. Protocol may be HTTP or HTTPS. Call http:// website name google.com top level domain path. That is URL. Got this point? URL
Yes,
consists
sir.
of a protocol,
Protocol, a
domain name,
domain, and path.
and path.
Path.
Example: http://geeks4geeks.com
Facebook.com.
path is what? Specific folder or subfolders that are given in website. What is a path? Specific folder or subfolders. It may be a specific folder and subfolder, okay, or just specific folders. That's a path in which you are having the content. This is called a uniform resource locator. Uniform resource locator. Who governs the internet? Internet is not governed and not having any single authority. Internet is not controlled by anybody. That is both advantage and disadvantage. But ultimate authority for the internet is the Internet Society, ISOC. It's a volunteer membership organization whose purpose is to promote global information exchange. This ISOC stands for what?
Internet Society.
Internet Society, very good. This Internet Society, what it does? It appoints Internet Architecture Board. Okay, so they talk about the standards, they talk about resource allocation, they talk about addresses. Another volunteer organization which talks about the internet, which works for the internet operations and technical problems is IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. Internet Engineering Task Force. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
First, when you type a URL like www.google.com, the browser converts it into a file containing the browser, whatever the browser you use, that converts that URL into a file containing get HTTP, where get means we are requesting some data from the server and HTTP refers to protocol that we are using, and 1.1 refers to the version of HTTP request. Get slash HTTP slash 1.1. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now this file is converted into binary code by the browser and sends down the wires. If you are connected to the Ethernet, and if you are using Wi-Fi, it converts it into a radio signal which is decoded by router in a very low level. It's converted to binary and then sent to the server. So browser, when you say www.google.com, it converts the file containing get HTTP 1.1 into binary and sends through the Ethernet. If you are having a wired network, if it is Wi-Fi kind of network, it converts into radio signal and it sends to the server. Before handing over to the server, router converts that into what? Binary. This information or binary codes go to the destination and respond if it is received by the sender only because of the IP address. One router will send the information to the another, and this keeps on going until the binary code reaches the destination. So you'll be having different routers on the path as an intermediary, and a router hands over to the next router till it reaches the server. This is how the internet works. Your browser and the internet works. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So just to quickly recap, what's your host name? Name of your device or a computer? What's an IP address?
A unique address which is assigned for
Unique
every
address,
system.
correct? It's
Unique
a logical
logical
address.
address.
What?
It's given
How
by
many bits? IP address is
32
of how
bits.
many bits?
32 bits for version 4.
For version 4, correct.
For 120 bits for version 6.
Version 6, 128 bits.
28 bits.
128 bits for version 6. MAC address?
Physical address which
MAC address is a physical address, correct? It is
used
associated
to
with what?
identify a host
Network
associated with
interface card.
card.
Okay. At the manufacturing time, network interface card will be given a MAC address that is fixed. Network interface card. So your network address means it is the address printed, embedded during the manufacturing of network interface card. So that is network address actually, MAC. Media Access Control Address. It is of 6 bytes. 6 bytes. MAC is of 6 bytes or 48 bits. You have to remember this. How do you get the MAC address? How do you get the MAC address?
Sir,
You have to
IP
go to the
config.
command prompt and type ipconfig/all. Okay, ipconfig/all. So then you will get MAC
It's a
address.
MAC address.
What is the port number for which purpose we use the port number? It refers to the logical channel. It is
To run an
required to send
application.
and receive a data to an application. It's a 16-bit integer. You have 2 to the power of 16, that is 65,536 port numbers. What are well-known ports here? Well-known ports 0 to 1023. 0 to 1023 are well-known ports. Registered ports 1024 to 49151. Well-known ports, registered ports, ephemeral ports. Generally, that user whatever when in our program we can use. Okay. What is a socket? It's an endpoint of communication, combination of IP address and port number. DNS, domain name
System.
If you know the domain name, you can get the IP address using what command? NSLOOKUP command.
NSLOOKUP command.
NSLOOKUP command. ARP. It stands
Address Resolution Protocol.
ARP stands for Address Resolution
Protocol. Converts IP address to MAC address.
Very good. Converts IP address to MAC address. Given network address, if you want to get the IP address, then you have to use reverse address resolution protocol. Okay, IP to MAC, ARP, MAC to IP, RARP, reverse address resolution protocol. What is an internet? A global network.
Global network where number of systems connected to a network.
Smaller networks. And these smaller networks are connected using standardized. You have to use the word standardized communication protocol. The internet standards describes the framework known as Internet Protocol Suite, the internet standards. So, for example, IETF, IEEE, certain volunteer organizations are there, certain task force are there, okay, which discusses about the protocol and puts the document into RFC, request for comments, RFC. So as per that, this internet works, and this internet model divides method into a layer system of protocols. So we can find basically application layer and transport layer and network layer. World Wide Web, WWW. Okay. So basically, as we know, World Wide Web, or shortly referred as web, is a way to access the information through the internet. World Wide Web itself is not an internet. It is a model which supports data exchange, information exchange. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Documents are formatted in the markup language called HTML. You know this. It supports different features which includes links, multimedia. Using hypertext links, you can traverse from one page to another. Okay. HTTP transfer protocol, hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP. Uniform resource locator URL, address of the resource. Web access, we access the web using the web browser, right? So difference between internet and web. Internet is the network of networks. Web is a way to access the information through the net. Okay. URI, Uniform Resource Identifier. URI can be a name, it can be a locator or both for an online resource, whereas URL is just the locator which locates. For example, URL is human readable text. Example we have taken was HTTP :geeks4geeks.com/path. In general, URL is having a general syntax like protocol : website name dot top level domain /path. That's URL. Internet is governed by many volunteer organizations, including ISOC, Internet Society, ISOC. ISOC appoints IAB, where IAB stands for Internet Architecture Board. Their function is to discuss and suggest standards and talking about allocating of resources and addresses. We have another volunteer organization called Internet Engineering Task Force that meets regularly to discuss operational and technical problems. While using the internet, suppose if you type www.google.com, browser converts that into binary data and sends through the internet if you are connected through a wired network. And if you are connected using Wi-Fi, it converts it into radio signal, and which is decoded by the router in a very low level. A router 1 will send the information to the another router 2, and this keeps on going until the binary codes reaches the destination. Okay. So these are the things that we have discussed. In the next class, we look at some more basics of the computer networks. I'll just take the attendance rate. Online class, second hour, 21/1/2021. So please answer your attendance. Kaushik,
Present, sir.
Rupak Datta,
Yes, sir.
Sri Vishnu Sharma.
Present, sir.
Sri Vishnu Sharma present. Sai Kumar, Darshan Kumar,
Present, sir.
Divya Ram,
Yes, sir.
Akrut,
Yes, sir.
Anaga? Anaga Prakash?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anusha? Anusha?
Sir? Yes, sir.
Sharan?
Yes, sir.
Manish?
Present, sir.
Sugandhini?
Present, sir.
Okay. Did I call all attendance?
No, sir. My name Shadab Ansari.
Huh?
Shadab.
Shadab Ansari. Shadab Ansari present.
Uma
One more.
Bushra,
Shadab Ansari present. Anybody else?
sir. Uma Bushra, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pa. I'm just stopping recording. So if you are having any doubts, you can discuss always.